Tenenbom is an American playwright and a columnist for German newspaper Die Zeit. He mostly covers the rise of the far-right political movements in Europe from the Jewish perspective. His book, I Sleep in Hitler's Room, was high in the bestsellers list in Germany for 4 months. Tonight, we are happy to have him here in the studio with us. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You know, the last time that I heard about a journalist or a columnist or a writer that decided to act like a certain, let's say, position or act like a certain personality, it was a long time ago. It's like this genre doesn't exist anymore.
Well, actually, basically, I write about anything that I find. But if you are in Europe and spending a lot of time in Europe, by the end of the day, you see a lot of anti-Semitism. I mean, I'm saddened by it. I would like to write about something else. But basically, I have a free and, whatever I want to write. And this is what happened, for example, with this book, I Sleep in Hitler's Room. It was not even my idea. It was the idea of a German publisher.
Yes. Give me this.
Mm-hmm. By the way, it came out in Israel this time, this way,
yes,
Friday. In Hebrew, it's Ani Yoshen B'Chadro Shel Hitler. And this is, which is an exact translation of I Sleep in Hitler's Room.
You know, what do you, when you go undercover and you decide to be a German, a Nazi German, or a far-right German, what went through your mind and what do you discover?
You discover a lot of things. First of all, to the far right, I go very little because everybody knows it exists. I mean, you go every country. It's normal, it's a social thing, that about 10% of the people are crazy, are racist, meshuggah, whatever you want to call it. This is in every country, and of course, Germany shouldn't be different. So this is just part of the idea. Most of it, the other 90% that I cover, are normal people. Some of them, highly intellectual, PhD times 2 or 3 or 4. Some are very rich. They can't complain, the Jews take money away from me. So it basically covers, this book, I Sleep in Hitler's Room, covers the whole society.
So you go deep and you understand that a lot of the Nazi ideas still exists. A lot of the, sadly, still a lot of the stereotypes that the Nazi were, let's say, categorizing the Jews among, they're still existing, and it didn't change with time, but they're afraid to say it, so they're acting like they're accepting the situation, but they're not.
Look, Germany, for example, and the rest of Europe, Germany is one country that I, in this book, is talking about, but in general, it's a symptom to the rest of Europe. And the idea is that they don't view themselves as anti-Semitic. No, it's impossible. Like one actor one time told me, a German actor, he said, after World War II, we did something very wrong. We had good citizens, Germans, Jewish, and they were good people. And we sent them to Auschwitz. It was very bad, and I'm very sorry about it. It was wrong to do, totally wrong. But the Jews of today, all of them to Auschwitz. It's like,
that you hear right now in 2014 and 2000?
You hear it. The idea is they still think that the Jews control the world.
Where does it come from? It comes because what? They still believe that Israel, the Jewish people, are still blaming them after all these years, blaming the new generation about what happened in the Holocaust?
Look, when it comes even today, when you have the story with the 3 young boys who have been kidnapped, you see the pictures in the German media today. I brought some pictures with me. I don't know if it's going to take the thing here. For example, you can see pictures. This is German media. This is the Spiegel. If you can see this is from Welt, Die Welt. This is from Süddeutsche Zeitung.
About the kidnapping.
So what you see here and what you can see here, you see, for example, what you see a soldier. You see Jewish soldiers, Israeli soldiers, and you see Arab families, you see a mother with a little baby.
With her little baby.
So this is the story about. The story is about the Arab Jews.
Is it more the hate towards Israel, or is it more the hate towards Jews, or is it combined together?
It is that when we are talking about Israel, what are we talking about? Are we talking the Arab Israelis, the Palestinians, or whatever you want to call them? No. We are talking the Israel minus everybody who is not Jewish. So what kind of Israel are we talking about? They are talking about Jews. Of course they are talking about Jews. And when I tell them, for example, go to Jordan. You really care about the Palestinians? Go to Jordan. You know there is a neighborhood there, a refugee camp called Al-Wahdat. See how the Palestinians live. You see this thing, this table? It's basically home for thousands of Palestinians, basically this size. They live in utter misery.
So how
would you like to take care of them?
You know,
where are the NGOs?
How do you explain the fact that the Germans, the people that maybe participated in the biggest massacre in history, still engaged and still, let's say, close and still stuck on the stereotypes that brought them to World War II?
The idea is very simple. Anti-Semitism did not start with Germany, did not start with Hitler. Anti-Semitism started about 2,000 years ago with the rise of Christianity. That's where it started. And it goes on, if you read the New Testament and you see Jesus coming, I'm sorry to say it, but this is the reality. You see Jesus coming to the Arabites, to the Temple Mount, and what does he do? All the money changers who are Jewish, he throws them away. Jesus talks to the Jews, and he says, I talk in the name of my Father in heaven, and you talk in the name of your father, Satan, the devil. I mean, it started like this. So in the beginning, people didn't know that these are two Jews talking. So you can't really blame the New Testament.
But there is a difference with the modern anti-Semitism.
The modern anti-Semitism is very simple. The Jews control the money. 70% of many Germans think like this. 70% 70% of the money, the financial sources in the United States belong to Jews. The financial crisis in Europe and in the West started with Jews because they are the only ones with money. Jews already, they got a country. Power all of a sudden. They got Israel. And what do Jews do? They are Nazis.
The Jews are Nazis?
The Jews, of course. The Jews are Nazis.
How do you feel when you hear these sentences?
You know, I think that the way, I mean, there are two sides to it. One side is, one problem that I can see, I can blame the Jews themselves. There are many Jews who are self-hating. It's not the majority, of course, but, and whenever a German or a European wants to say something outrageously anti-Semitic, they pick a Jew to say it in their name. Okay, is there Moshe saying it? I didn't say it. Israel is saying it. Israel is saying it. I didn't say it. This is one thing. And the other thing, there are many Jews, especially in Europe, who quote out whoever thinks they're anti-Semitic. They only show themselves how great they are, how beautiful they are, and they say, you know, criticizing Jews from every way. So this is one thing. The other thing is, we really don't pay attention. For example, in Israel, they don't pay attention to what's going on in the world. And they are going to pay for it. There is anti-Semitism. It's growing. Germany 20 years ago was less anti-Semitic than it is today. That's the fact.
This is
the fact. It's growing and growing and growing.
You know, this is not a good sentence to end this interview, because we're just about
to end this interview.
This is not
it's
a
reality.
good sentence to end
we
this
don't
interview.
pay attention. When I was here for 7 months, just last year, in the beginning of this year, to write a book about Israel and about the Palestinians, you know, many Knesset members would say, we don't care about what Europeans say. We don't care about European media. What, even Rabbi Rivlin, he refused to talk to me because his dover, his spokesman said, you know, we don't care about Europe. If you don't care about Europe, if you don't care about growing anti-Semitism in the world, we are going to pay the price.
So I'm happy that you came here
Thank you.
Gave us a little bit of.
I hope it helps.
I
hope it helps.
Yes, of your ideas and from your book. I Sleep in Hitler's Room.
And I hope you'll read it.
Yes, and I will. Right now, after this discussion, I will. Thank you very much for coming to our studio. And thank you, our viewers, for being with us tonight. Tomorrow we will be here at the same time, same place, from the Jaffa Port, Israel, not Europe.